All right, today we are going to discuss doing value scales, and there's a couple different types of value scales that you need to know about. The first one is called just your regular value scale, and you can see up here that it goes from lightest on the left to darkest on the right. Now, your goal is to mimic the same printed version down in the squares that are provided below. You're going to be using a colored pencil for this, and you are trying to match the darkness of the black with the darkness of a color of your choice. And then you will step down. That's how we like to kind of look at this scale right here. This value scale where we're moving from darkest to medium dark to medium light, and then light. Okay, so your square over here on the far left will be left white, and then we will slowly get this to be a stepped process from darker to lighter. Over here on this bottom one, we have what is called a gradient value scale. The gradient value scale is a great tool for you as an artist to be able to blend your colors smoothly from super dark to light. Now notice that there are not steps. We do not move from one section to the other where we could draw a physical line between the values. The value literally moves in a gradient, okay? Moving darker to lighter or lighter to darker depending on how you look at it. So make sure on this one we don't want to see any actual physical hard lines that change from darker to lighter. You want to move from darker smoothly to lighter. Okay, so you will each have one of these. You need to write your name at the top. Just so we can know it's yours. Then we're going to move on and let's look at our first actual value scale. These are called value scales. They're great practice to be able to mimic a value and do it over and over again and make sure that you are connecting the same values throughout an entire piece or work of art. So when I do value scales, I like to start with the darkest value first, because that way you can for sure get that really dark saturated value in there. So I'm going to be using a vertical direction with my coloring, and we will talk more about that during the gradient value scale, but I want my gradient to be vertical and also my value scale to be vertical in coloring. Okay. Remember, don't change direction. You want your eye to feel like it's moving constantly in that up and down, and that blends everything together really nice and smooth. Okay. So if you want to, you can start with an outline. On one side, I like to make a harder line of where that line is on this value scale so we know where to stop. And then you're just going to fill this in. Also notice that we are not moving in small sections from darker across and then darker across, but we are literally moving across from left to right, moving vertical the entire time. We're not doing small sections of the square at a time, but using that vertical line to come down and up all the way across this rectangle. And there you have your darkest value put in. Notice that the black of the printout is definitely going to be a really nice jet black. It's going to be hard to mimic at that much saturation, but you can get pretty darn close. Okay, so obviously use a little bit more pressure. You should be choked up on the pencil as you're doing that. Then as you're moving down to different values throughout the scale, you need to lighten the pressure. It's always easier to start lighter and then add more color if you need. So don't try to overwork it and get super dark too quick. You'll want to be able to move slowly through that process, okay? So again, start over here on the edge, just to make sure that you know where it's going to be, and then start to fill in that value. Notice already off the bat, my fingers are farther away from the tip of the pencil. And this is quick work, it's not super slow. And again, notice we are moving left to right. Also notice we're not getting color put in at the top into this gray and into that area. We're keeping the blue contained within the rectangle. Once you get a section of that colored in, you're going to kind of have to check whether or not you feel like that's the same value. One way to do that is to squint at it and see if it is the same value or not. Personally, I think this could get a little darker. This one seems pretty close to what the middle needs to be, and then this obviously would need to be lighter. If you do get any color on the other side or another section, just kind of erase it off so it's not there. Okay, so you're looking for a step down, moving from step to a different value. Okay, then we're going to get this middle value put in. Remember, colored pencil is all about layering, adding one layer on top of another layer on top of another layer. So always start out lighter and work your way darker. The camera does have a little bit of color alteration, so it's a little harder to tell between the video and then the actual paper I have of what's actually a medium gray and what's up there. Okay, and then you move on to your lightest. Remember, the square on the far left will be left white. I don't want to see any color put in that left square. Okay, there you can see that that is a step down process on your value scale. We move from dark to medium light, and then light. All right, so that's working through that. You'll notice that was pretty quick work. You don't want to go too slow on this. You don't have all the time in the world, so make sure that you're moving quickly but efficiently and keeping control of your pencil as you draw in your values.